Imagine waking up every single day in a graveyard, not by choice, but because you can't live among people anymore. You scream constantly. You cut yourself with rocks. They've chained you up before, shackles, heavy iron chains, and you snap them like they were nothing. You're not yourself anymore. Something lives inside you, something ancient, something that has a name, and that name is Legion. Today we're diving into one of the most disturbing, most layered, and most mysterious stories in the entire life of Jesus Christ. A story most churches read way too fast, without even noticing the theological, historical, and supernatural weight hiding in every single detail that Mark recorded. Stay with me until the end, because the biggest mystery in this story isn't the possession, it's what happens after. To really understand this story, you need to know where it takes place. Jesus and his disciples have just crossed the Sea of Galilee. This is the same night he calmed the storm. When they reach the other side, they're in Gentile territory, the region of the Gerasenes or Gadarenes, depending on which gospel account you're reading. This region was part of the Decapolis, 10 Hellenized cities with Greek and Roman culture. Not Jewish, which is exactly why there was a massive pig farm there. Pigs were unclean animals under Jewish law. You simply wouldn't find a herd of 2,000 pigs anywhere near Jewish territory, and that detail matters, theologically, more than most people realize. Jesus didn't get called to go there. He just went. He sailed straight into the place where evil had taken hold in its most extreme form. Mark is the gospel writer of raw, vivid detail, and right here, he holds nothing back. The man lived among the tombs. In Jewish and Greco-Roman culture, cemeteries were places of maximum ritual impurity. A Jewish man who touched a dead body would be considered unclean for 7 days. This guy was living surrounded by death, probably inside burial caves. He was a living person dwelling in the domain of the dead. And that's not just a sad detail, it's a perfect picture of what the enemy does. The devil doesn't create life. He only inhabits what's already dying. Mark also tells us no one could restrain him anymore. They'd tried many times with chains and shackles. He tore right through them. That's not literary exaggeration. That's the text describing a superhuman strength that the possession gave him. And night and day, without stopping, he was crying out among the tombs and cutting himself with the stones. Theologians and biblical scholars point to this as a portrait of the deliberate destruction of a soul made in the image of God. The enemy doesn't possess people to give them comfort. He possesses to destroy. John 10:10 says it plainly, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy." This man was the living embodiment of that verse. The moment Jesus steps off the boat, the possessed man runs straight toward him. And here the text does something extraordinary that almost everyone skips over. The demon bows down before Jesus. In Greek, the word used is proskuneo, the same word used for worship. This wasn't voluntary. It was a forced submission in the presence of an authority that couldn't be ignored or resisted. Demons don't have a choice when they're standing in front of Christ. They recognize exactly who he is, more clearly actually, than most humans recognized him at the time. And then comes the line that sends a chill down your spine. "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." Mark 5:7. Let's break that down carefully. The demon calls Jesus Son of the Most High God, a title that even the disciples were still wrestling to fully understand. The spiritual world knows exactly who Jesus is. Second, the demon is afraid of being tormented. That confirms there's a coming judgment reserved for demons, referenced in Jude 6 and 2 Peter 2:4. And third, and this is almost darkly ironic, the demon uses the phrase "in God's name" to try to negotiate with the Son of God, a rebel invoking the Father's name to bargain with the Father's Son. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" And the answer is one of the most chilling in all of Scripture. "My name is Legion, for we are many." Mark 5:9. Legion, legio in Latin. A Roman legion was made up of approximately 6,000 soldiers, 6,000 unclean spirits inside one human being. Just sit with that for a second. The choice of that word is not random. They pick a Roman military term, the largest organized fighting force in the ancient world. It's a declaration of power, of sheer number, of occupation. They weren't just there. They had taken over completely. And here's a layer that serious Bible students find fascinating. For the Jewish people living under Roman occupation, the word legion wasn't just a military term. It was a word loaded with trauma and fear. Some biblical scholars note that Mark, writing for an audience that understood the terror of a Roman legion, chose that name with full intention. A legion of demons occupying a man, just as a Roman legion occupied the land. I'm not saying the text is political allegory. I'm saying Mark was precise, and his first readers felt the weight of that word in a way we don't always feel it today. One more detail worth noting. The Legio X Fretensis, the 10th Roman legion stationed in the region, had a wild boar as one of its symbols. And what did the demons ask to enter? A herd of pigs. Coincidence? Maybe, but nothing in this story feels accidental. The unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs, and the herd, walk about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and drowned. Mark 5:13, 2,000 pigs, gone. And this is the part that honestly makes a lot of modern readers uncomfortable. Why did Jesus allow it? Why let the demons destroy 2,000 animals and cause massive financial damage to people who were probably just local farmers? Here's what the text actually shows us. Jesus didn't destroy the pigs. He granted the demons' request, and that itself reveals something critical. Even demonic forces need permission to act on God's creation. They asked. They didn't just go. They had to ask. And when they got in, they destroyed. Because that's what they do. The same nature that had been tearing this man apart from the inside tore through that herd in seconds. The pigs didn't stand a chance, and neither had the man, until Jesus showed up. Some theologians also point out that in a world without modern medicine or psychiatric diagnosis, visible proof mattered enormously. How do you prove to an entire city that thousands of demons had just left a man? The destruction of the herd was undeniable. Public, physical evidence that something real had just happened. And underneath all of it is a simple but staggering truth. Jesus considered one human soul worth more than 2,000 pigs. That wasn't even a close call for him. Now here's what I personally think is the most disturbing moment in this entire account. And it's not the possession. The whole city comes out to see what happened. They find the man who had terrorized the region, the one no one could chain, the one who screamed all night, sitting there, calm, clothed, in his right mind. And the city's response? Fear. And they begged Jesus to leave. Then they began to beg Jesus to leave their region. Mark 5:17. Think about what just happened. A man who snapped iron chains is now sitting peacefully at the feet of the person who set him free. And the townspeople, who had lived in fear of this man for years, want the liberator gone. Why? Scholars point to a few reasons. There's the fear of the unknown. The supernatural miracle scared them more than the demoniac ever had. There's the financial loss. 2,000 pigs was serious money, and Jesus represented an economic threat they hadn't signed up for. And some commentators suggest something even deeper. The presence of someone that wholly capable of that kind of miracle confronted them with their own spiritual condition in a way they weren't ready to face. This scene is a mirror, and it's in the text because it's meant to stay uncomfortable. There have always been people who prefer the familiar torment over the unfamiliar liberator. That's not just a first century problem. That's a human problem. Jesus gets back in the boat to leave, and the man who was just set free, the former demoniac, the man of Legion, runs up and begs to go with him. And Jesus says no. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." Mark 5:19. This is one of the most theologically loaded moments in the entire chapter. Think about this. Throughout most of his ministry, Jesus told people to keep quiet about what he'd done. Biblical scholars call it the messianic secret, especially in the Gospel of Mark. But here in Gentile territory, he says the opposite. Go, tell everyone. Why? Because in a non-Jewish region, There was no risk of a political misunderstanding about what kind of Messiah he was. The story could travel freely, and travel it did. The text says the man went throughout the Decapolis, all 10 cities, proclaiming what Jesus had done, and everyone was amazed. Here's what I need you to really sit with. The first missionary to the Gentiles wasn't Paul. It wasn't Peter. It was an unnamed man with no theological training, no credentials, no formal background in ministry. Just a story. The story of what Jesus had done for him personally. Jesus didn't need to stay in the Decapolis. He left behind someone the Decapolis already knew. Someone whose transformation was undeniable proof. You can argue with a sermon, you can debate a doctrine, but you cannot argue with a life that has been completely changed. The greatest argument for the gospel has never been a thesis. It's always been a transformed life. Mark chapter 5 is not really a story about demons. It's a story about the reach of God's grace. Jesus crossed a sea. He entered unclean territory. He walked straight toward the one man everyone else had given up on, and he restored him completely. If you're in a graveyard right now, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, know this: Jesus is not afraid to cross the water to get to you. And if you've already been set free, your job is the same as the man from the Decapolis. Go back, tell people, let your life be the evidence. If this video hit you in a way you weren't expecting, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you want to keep going deeper into the hidden layers of Scripture, layers most people never get to see, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell, because we've got a lot more coming. This is Hidden Mysteries of the Bible, and I'll see you in the next one.